The Green Bay Packers get blasted with fantastic news, and we got to talk about it. They are about to clean up with some compensatory picks for losing a couple of free agents who they don't need, who actually take away targets from some of their best weapons, and it's really good news. The Packers make a difficult decision, move away from their special teams coordinator. I'm going to talk about why that is a great thing, and way more in this video. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Broncos fan named Ben, but my NFC team has always been the Green Bay Packers, and this is the NFC North, guys, and along with my friends Aaron, Colin, Paul, and Nate, we talk all NFC North. So if you like that, smash that like and subscribe button, and let's dive in here. So first off the bat, we are starting to hear rumors about how much Malik Willis is going to command on the open market, and hearing teams like the Dolphins banging down the doors, the Cardinals banging down the doors, and they're offering to pay upwards of $35.5 million to get his services as their starter. I think this is phenomenal for the Packers, because if he signs anywhere close to a deal like that, then in next year's draft, the Packers are going to get a third-round compensatory pick for him. And I just think like paying a backup quarterback is a fool's errand. That even with Malik Willis, how did the Packers do once Jordan Love went down? Like, yes, he is a serviceable backup and is going to win you a couple of games, but I think Packers fans know that if Jordan Love goes down, the season is basically toast, and he could be a nice little stopgap for a couple of games, but you do not want to be paying that type of salary cap money to a guy who isn't going to move the needle and help you win in the NFC North. So I think this is great to basically be getting a third-round draft pick for him. Like, if you traded that on the open market, you would be thrilled with it. So the way the compensatory pick formula works is that, like, depending on the amount of salary leaving your team and signing somewhere else, you kind of get rewarded for that happening. So that happened to San Francisco 49ers a couple of years ago, where they lost a ton of talent, and then they have a bunch of draft picks for that, and they're set to absolutely load up this year in the NFL draft after losing Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, just a ton of talent from San Francisco. So it's kind of one of those mechanisms that helps balance teams where all the talent bails, and helps reward teams who develop talent. So the other person that the Packers are going to get a compensatory pick, and if all the rumors about how his new deal is going to go, this would be a fourth-round compensatory pick for Romeo Doubs. So you're hearing from a Green Bay insider that the Packers are not going to be able to make do and give Romeo Doubs the $12 to $13 million per year deal that he is commanding on the open market. And so by him leaving, the Packers are going to end up getting a fourth-round pick. So you're saying that you're exchanging two guys who really are not needed on this team, that at most they're duplicitous, and actually it may even be a step further than that, because what I think is happening with the Green Bay is that you are a team that is loaded up with talent, and there's just not enough balls to be getting all of these guys the touches that they need. And so just hearing how pumped up and ready to come back Tucker Kraft is, you're talking about one of the best tight ends in all professional football on your team. He needs a huge share of the ball. Obviously, we know Christian Watson, one of the best wide receivers in the entire game as well. And I think that when you take a look at what Matthew Golden did this year, the only thing limiting his development was the fact that there was just too many mouths to feed. And so I think Romeo Doubs leaving, you're getting a compensatory pick for him, and then is going to free up targets for Matthew Golden. And you just got to remember that going into last year's draft, as they were rating who are the best wide receivers in this draft, we know this year Tet McMillan balled out of control, and he was phenomenal, but you got to remember who were a couple other players that they thought were going to be phenomenal. Emeka Egbuka, who looked phenomenal as well this season. Obviously, we know Luther Burden started to pop off and go off for the Bears. We know this was a really loaded wide receiver class. Trey Harris, a couple others. Jaden Higgins played extremely, extremely well there. But who was the number 2 ranked wide receiver going into this draft, who probably should not have even fallen to the Bears where he did? And it is, of course, Matthew Golden, who the one word you think of when you think of him, and all the pre-draft talk about him, was that he is one of the most explosive athletes that you are going to find. And I think the only thing limiting what he did this season was the fact that Jordan Love just had too many mouths to feed, and it's easy to look past the rookie. And I think this is almost LaFleur kind of forcing the hand of like, hey, we got a guy who needs a huge share of targets to really make a difference on this team. So let's not even futz around with the dude in a Guardian cap that's the size of this room. Let's get more targets to Matthew Golden. I think that's exactly what's going to happen as a result of this. So you're going to see Matthew Golden get better as a receiver, get more targets. You're going to see this Green Bay Packers offense be even more explosive, and by doing so, you're going to actually end up getting a free compensatory pick for that. So I just think that's phenomenal. I do not need to remind you how good he looked in spurts, and every single time he got the rock, you're like, okay, now do it again. I just will never forget this type of playmaking here where he was one of my picks in my keeper league on fantasy. And I'm like, okay, that was a really smart pick on my part. And it was like, why did this not happen all season long? That a guy who has that type of speed and ability, and it's not straight line speed. It's like make your man miss in any of these different ways. And you see it in the screen game right here. And then obviously we saw that yard after catch ability here in this game against the Browns or against the Bengals, where you're just like, dude, there's not a lot of guys in the NFL who can move like this after they get the ball. That amount of separation that he is creating, it's just unparalleled in the NFL. And again, you know that there's massive jumps in the NFL between a player's rookie year and their second year. It's the second year surge, and it happens most for wide receivers in the NFL. And so now you're taking away one of those guys who is just taking targets away from Matthew Golden. And so I expect a massive year out of him because he creates separation. And then, I saw it firsthand as a Broncos fan that this guy creates wild separation. And then his ability after he catches the ball is just pretty much unparalleled for a rookie wide receiver, especially. So I think you're getting a 3rd round pick for Malik Willis. You're getting a 4th round pick for Romeo Doubs. And it's actually going to make this offense even better. It's going to be another sign to Jordan Love, like, this is my team. There were other fan bases who were saying that, the Packers are actually better with Malik Willis. And if you watch this team, that's like one of the most foolish things you could say. Other good move that the Packers did is that Rich Bisaccia, former Vegas Raider, interim head coach and a longtime special teams coach, stepped down from the Green Bay Packers. And I just think this was the right move to happen. That I think without the special teams blunders that we had as a team this year for the Green Bay Packers, this is a team that makes it way further in the playoffs than they did. Obviously, you just know that last game against the Chicago Bears, the kicker could not hit the broadside of a barn, and it was the kicking game that cost them that game against the Bears. Just a few games before, it was that overtime game where the Green Bay Packers could not field an onside kick. I remember a blocked field goal in, I think it was the Cleveland Browns game. I feel like there was even in the Dallas game, there was an extra point return for a touchdown, which you just never see even playing Madden football. So I think this is a sign that LaFleur is able to look inward and be like, hey, this guy does not have it. And now, we see it with LaFleur's brother getting hired in Arizona, that he kind of has this magnetic, cool guy personality, part of that McVay coaching tree. And that there are going to be young guys lining up to come and coach in Green Bay. And I just think this is a really cool move that the Packers did what was needed and did not just have blind loyalty to keeping a dude that they didn't need. And then the last piece of great news that I think the Packers really got here is that we know Micah is him. One of the best edge rushers in football, without a doubt. And he may actually have a little bit of a sparring partner, especially if some of the rumors are true about Packers making a couple cuts here during this offseason. A lot of people saying that the Packers could move on from Rashawn Gary. Well, it looks as if former Denver Bronco first-round draft pick Bradley Chubb could be available at like a criminally low deal here for the Green Bay Packers. And I think it's very rare that you see a team at this point in the season already doing a fire sale as they've cut Tyreek Hill. There's just rumors about them cutting Tua Tagovailoa, rumors of them cutting Jalen Waddle as well, that they are moving on, and that at this point, Bradley Chubb could go anywhere. And we've already seen the magnetic personality and the magnetic recruiter that Micah Parsons is. And so, Micah is picking up the phone and saying, hey, you want a 10-sack season? You don't really have to do anything because I get double-teamed every time. And so I think, that while in Green Bay land, it's pretty easy to be discouraged about how the season ended. You have one of the best recruiters in football in Micah who is getting double-teamed every play. And so any free agent edge rusher, when they're trying to decide, hey, I want to pump up my numbers, I want to end up with a 10-sack season, who should I go partner up with? There's not a better guy to go partner up with than Micah Parsons. So phenomenal news day, phenomenal news week. It is about to be a generational run for the Green Bay Packers as they win the NFC North, and that is a cold, hard fact.